President Obama's announcement on Thursday that Attorney General Eric H. Holder Jr. would leave the administration sets up an election season scramble for a replacement, to carry on Mr. Holder's civil rights crusade, wage rhetorical combat with Congress and manage the legal complexities of a presidency increasingly drawn into war with terrorists. One of the earliest members of Mr. Obama's cabinet, Mr. Holder, 63, became the nation's first African-American Attorney General and the President's chief liberal warrior, especially on efforts to protect voter rights and end racial discrimination in the justice system. He also emerged as the primary political antagonist for a Republican opposition in Congress that viewed him as dismissive of existing laws and contemptuous of its oversight of his department. That still simmering anger among Republicans, who once voted to hold Mr. Holder in contempt of Congress, could be a political nightmare for Mr. Obama, as he searches for a replacement who can win confirmation in the Senate. Democrats on Capitol Hill are bracing for attacks on any nominee involved in what Republicans consider scandals, political targeting by the Internal Revenue Service, the terrorist attacks on the American diplomatic mission in Benghazi, or the numerous executive actions by Mr. Obama circumventing Congress. Frequently mentioned candidates to replace Mr. Holder include Catherine Ruemler, the former White House counsel who remains close to Mr. Obama, Governor Deval Patrick of Massachusetts, Solicitor General Donald B. Verrilli, Jr., former Governor Jennifer M. Granholm of Michigan, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, Democrat of Rhode Island, a former prosecutor, Preet Bharara, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, and Loretta E. Lynch, the United States Attorney in Brooklyn. Mr. Patrick on Thursday said that it was not the right time for him to take such a job. White House officials said that Mr. Obama had not yet decided on a successor, with one official saying the president was a long way from an announcement. In a ceremony in the state dining room on Thursday, Mr. Obama said Mr. Holder had promised to stay in his job until a successor was confirmed. "I chose him to serve as Attorney General because he believes, as I do, that justice is not just an abstract theory. It is a living and breathing principle," Mr. Obama said, adding that Mr. Holder used the law to improve people's lives. "That's why I made him America's lawyer, the people's lawyer." Mr. Holder's resignation was not a surprise. He had said previously that he planned to leave office by the end of 2014 after 6 years in the job. Selecting the next Attorney General is likely to be complicated by the uncertainty of the future political landscape in Washington. If Republicans take control of the Senate in the midterm elections this November, the president's pick to replace Mr. Holder will face enormous scrutiny without support from a friendly leadership in control of the legislative agenda. Senator Mitch McConnell, the Kentucky Republican who would most likely take over as the majority leader if his party wins control in November, accused Mr. Holder on Thursday of placing ideology above the rule of law during his tenure. Mr. McConnell urged Mr. Obama to name a replacement who, he said, would have more respect for the law. "I will be scrutinizing the president's replacement nominee to ensure the Justice Department finally returns to prioritizing law enforcement over partisan concerns," Mr. McConnell said. Conservatives spent years attacking Mr. Holder's integrity, especially over the Justice Department's botched gun trafficking operation called Fast and Furious. Jenny Beth Martin, the co-founder of the Tea Party Patriots, issued a statement calling Mr. Holder the nation's most corrupt Attorney General, and vowed not to let Mr. Obama push through another partisan hack for Attorney General. Some Democrats on Capitol Hill said the White House should consider pushing a nominee through in the lame duck session after the November elections, but before a new Congress takes office in January. Under changes in Senate rules forced by Democrats, nominees need only a majority of votes to clear procedural hurdles, which would prevent Republicans in the Democratic-controlled chamber from blocking the president's pick. But such a tactic could backfire. It could allow critics to question the legitimacy of an attorney general, who is hustled through hearings and a vote, to avoid the gauntlet of a Republican Senate. Officials said it was unclear whether there was even enough time to nominate someone, hold hearings and schedule a vote before the December holidays. some Democrats urged the president not to rush the process, even if it meant dealing with a new Senate. "What I think the president ought to do is make this the first test of whether the new Republicans are going to continue to obstruct," said Senator Charles E. Schumer, Democrat of New York. Senator Patrick J. Leahy, the Vermont Democrat who is chairman of the Judiciary Committee, warned that it would be irresponsible for anyone to try to delay confirmation of the country's chief law enforcement officer for political purposes. In an interview, Mr. Holder said the president needed to move quickly given the national security responsibility the Attorney General has, the domestic responsibility the attorney has. "We need to nominate somebody, have that person considered and get an up or down vote," he said. Once confirmed by a deeply divided Senate, Mr. Holder's successor would take over the department's civil rights investigations around the country, including the shooting last month of an unarmed black teenager, Michael Brown, by a white police officer in Ferguson, Mo. Under Mr. Holder, the Justice Department has fought against efforts to require voters to produce identification at polling places. The new Attorney General will also inherit Mr. Holder's role as a central member of Mr. Obama's war cabinet at a time of legal debate about the president's authority to conduct strikes against individuals, groups and governments overseas. In addition, the next leader of the Justice Department will face mounting pressure from activists, who viewed Mr. Holder as a disappointment. They include civil liberties groups angry at his support for government spying and the prosecution of journalists during leak investigations, as well as liberals, who say Mr. Holder should have used his power to prosecute those responsible for the financial crisis in 2008. Mr. Holder's record was badly blemished by his nearly overwhelming failure to hold corporate criminals accountable, said Robert Weissman, president of Public Citizen, a corporate watchdog group. "Too big to jail?" became de facto policy. Supporters praised Mr. Holder for a long list of accomplishments, including the personal mission of revitalizing the civil rights branch of the Justice Department. The Rev. Al Sharpton, the activist-turned-broadcaster, called Mr. Holder the best Attorney General on civil rights in American history, citing his work on racial disparities in prosecutions and sentencing and his focus on police misconduct. Sherilyn A. Fiel, the president of the NAACP Legal Defense and Educational Fund Incorporated, said of Mr. Holder, "In the field of civil rights, there are few who could even claim to rival this Attorney General's dedication, strategic focus and commitment." Mr. Obama called Mr. Holder's departure bittersweet. Eric's father was an immigrant, who served in the Army in World War II only to be refused service at lunch counters in the nation he defended, Mr. Obama said. But he and his wife raised their son to believe that this country's promise was real, and that son grew up to become Attorney General of the United States. And that is something? Correction, September 25, 2014. An earlier version of this article referred incorrectly to Donald B. Verrilli, Jr., who has been mentioned as a possible candidate for Attorney General. Mr. Verrilli is the current Solicitor General, not a former one.